Hey guys, in these trying times, I like to keep it real, so I'm going to talk about a topic that's very important and very dear to my heart. And that topic is fantasy maps. If you've spent any amount of time reading fantasy novels, or watching fantasy movies and shows, or playing any kind of game where you use a sword, I'm sure that you're familiar with the concept of a fantasy map. After all, fantasy realms can get real generic real fast if they don't have a map. And I think it's not unreasonable to make the claim that books with maps are better than those without maps. Always. And there's nothing more annoying than a game where you need a map, but aren't given one and have to look up a guide somewhere. But as much as I love fantasy maps, and as much as I love drawing them, there are some tropes that appear pretty often. So I'm going to use a few fantasy realms that I and many others have spent a lot of time in to take you through some of those things. Note that there are some minor Wheel of Time spoilers in this video, so you've been warned. Also, I'm going to do my best to use the original maps that appear in the game or book, because the personal touches that the artist puts on the map can really make or break them. Number 1, the rectangle map. Basically, when the land masses of a map are roughly rectangle shaped. And this one is pretty easy to understand why it happens. Usually when you're drawing a map, you're drawing it on a rectangular piece of paper, and you don't want to waste a huge amount of space on oceans. But my god, is it prevalent. Almost every map I'm going to go through on this video is guilty of it in one way or another, but the one where it sticks out the most is the map of the Wheel of Time. I'm about halfway through book 6, so I know that the world was basically destroyed by a magical apocalypse, which explains some of its idiosyncrasies, but my god, those mountains make a right angle. This is also present in a lot of other maps, Westeros for example. The north isn't too bad, but the south is basically the same shape as the paper it's drawn on. A Song of Ice and Fire can't be all bad. Let's take a look at Essos and... oh. Then there's Middle-earth, which isn't too bad until you look at Mordor. I will say that I do like all of these maps. The little details that the artist provides really help to bring the world together and make it feel real and lived in. Except kind of for Essos. I mean, that river is ridiculous. Valyria is pretty cool though. I will grant Wheel of Time the fact that it's helped by usually the maps of cities or like a village or a region being included in the books where Jordan tended to have a bit more fun. Like Tar Valon, a city ruled by a magical woman. Don't tell me he didn't know what he was doing. Then there's tropes that just pop up a lot in fantasy maps specifically. Though I am going to be a bit softer on Lord of the Rings and Narnia because, let's face it, they came out way before everyone else, and a lot are specifically basically defined the rules of the high fantasy genre. You've got dwarven mines hidden under mountains in Middle-earth, Alagasia, Tamriel, Gielinor, and of course Narnia. I actually looked into this, and dwarves living under hills and mountains and being associated with mining and smithing goes all the way back to Norse mythology, so the more you know. Then there's Elven Forests, or at least very natural places that man's corruption doesn't touch. Northern wastelands filled with all kinds of monsters and barbarians, and usually some far-off continent to the west that we never get to see. Aragon is particularly bad about this. It's basically a fantasy version of the map in your 6th grade geography textbook that shows you what all the biomes are. And let's face it, the first book is basically Eye of the World meets Star Wars, but I cut Paolini a tremendous amount of slack because, I mean, he made it when he was like 15. I wasn't doing much of anything when I was 15. Missing signals from girls, mostly. Then there are just artistic choices in maps that can really get under your skin. I started reading the Stormlight Archive recently and I really like it, and the map's pretty good too, but it's just kinda off. The names are too big. And I feel like the mountain to not mountain ratio is way too high. You gotta pace yourself with those mountains, man. Then you get into things in game maps where all the borders are either mountains or oceans. And I understand why that is. In an open world game, you've got to have something to stop the player from falling out of the world that isn't just an invisible wall. Or you could pull an 07scape and just have it stop.